Most people don't realize this until it's already too late. The real cost of owning a car isn't the price you pay when you drive it off the lot. It's the slow, sneaky drain that comes afterwards. A sensor packs up, then a pump starts leaking, then some electrical gremlin appears out of nowhere. And before you even hit 100,000 miles, you've already spent way more than you ever expected, just trying to keep the thing on the road. And the annoying part is, it doesn't happen to everyone. While some cars seem to need constant attention, others just keep going. Quietly, reliably, without asking for much in return. So today, instead of talking about the cheapest cars to buy, we're focusing on something much smarter. The cars that cost the least to actually live with over the years. The ones that don't suddenly hit you with massive repair bills. The ones that don't spend weeks sitting in a workshop. The ones that, year after year, simply do their job without drama. And by the end of this, you might start looking at cars in a completely different way. Because one of these vehicles has built a reputation so strong, it almost feels unbelievable. Let's start with a car you've definitely seen everywhere. Maybe even too many times. The Toyota Corolla. There's a reason this car has become almost invisible on the roads. Not because it's boring, but because it's everywhere. And when something is that common, there's usually a very good reason behind it. The Corolla wasn't built to impress you on day one. It wasn't made to be the fastest or the most exciting. It was built with one clear goal in mind: survival. Toyota focused on making a car that could handle years of real-world use without developing expensive problems. And that starts right with the engine. Most modern Corollas use a simple, naturally aspirated 1.8-liter engine. No turbochargers. No unnecessary complications. Just a proven setup that quietly avoids many of the failure points you see in newer, more complicated designs. And that simplicity really pays off. Because every extra part in a car is another thing that can eventually break. Take those parts away and you take away a lot of the risk. That's why the average annual repair cost stays nice and steady, around $350 to $400. But more importantly, it stays predictable. Owners aren't constantly dealing with random, expensive surprises. Most of the money just goes into normal routine maintenance. Oil changes, brake pads, filters. And even those are pretty affordable. Brake pads can cost as little as $40 to $80. Water pumps and alternators don't turn into budget killers. And since millions of Corollas have been built, parts are available everywhere. Mechanics already know the car inside out. Repairs are quicker, and labor costs stay lower. When you put all of that together, you get something most cars fail to deliver: real predictability. You know roughly what to expect. And in the long run, that's what actually saves you serious money. Now here's where things get interesting. Usually, when a car is this cheap to maintain, it's also a bit boring to drive. What if you could get low repair costs and still actually enjoy being behind the wheel? That's exactly where the next car changes the whole conversation. The Mazda 3. Mazda took a completely different route compared to most manufacturers. While others were rushing towards smaller turbocharged engines and fancy complex systems, Mazda decided to keep things smarter and simpler. They focused on refinement without the extra headache. Instead of adding more and more technology under the bonnet, they built their Skyactiv engines to deliver good efficiency and proper performance without relying on turbochargers. That single decision removes a surprising amount of long-term risk. No turbo means no turbo failure down the line. No intercooler problems. No extra pressure systems that can wear out over time. And once again, fewer parts means fewer problems. That's why the Mazda 3 keeps its average annual repair cost around $430 to $450. Slightly higher than the Corolla, but still one of the lowest in its class. But the real difference shows up in how the car actually feels over the years. Owners often say most of their spending still goes toward normal maintenance rather than nasty surprise repairs. And that's a massive relief. Basic bits like brake pads, starters, and alternators stay affordable and easy to get at. Thanks to Mazda's smart design, many of these parts are straightforward to reach, which keeps labor time short and your final bill lower. But beyond the numbers, the Mazda 3 gives you something extra you don't always find in this price range. It's actually fun to drive. It responds nicely. It feels connected to the road. And it proves you don't have to give up enjoyment just to keep long-term costs down. Now, before we move on, if you're finding this breakdown useful and you want more content like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Because most people have no idea how much money they can save just by choosing the right car from the beginning. Let's take things up a notch. So far we've been talking about compact cars. Smaller, lighter, simpler vehicles. But what happens when you step into something bigger? Something like a proper SUV? Normally that's where the costs start climbing. More weight, more stress on the brakes, suspension, and everything else. But this next vehicle does something unexpected. The Toyota RAV4 Hybrid. At first glance, it doesn't even seem like it should be on this list. It's an SUV, and it's a hybrid. Two things a lot of people associate with higher maintenance bills. But in reality, it completely flips that assumption. Toyota has been perfecting hybrid technology for well over 25 years. By now it's not experimental anymore. It's refined, well-tested, and seriously reliable. The RAV4 Hybrid teams up a 2.5-liter petrol engine with electric motors that help out during acceleration and city driving. That shared workload changes everything. Instead of the engine doing all the hard work alone, the effort gets spread across multiple systems, which means less stress on every single component. One of the smartest advantages appears every time you slow down. Regenerative braking lets the electric motors help slow the car while feeding energy back into the battery. That means your normal brake pads last much longer. Plenty of owners in places like Manchester or Berlin are reporting brake pads going 80 to 100,000 miles. At the same time, the petrol engine isn't constantly under heavy load. It gets a helping hand when it needs it, which helps everything from the transmission to the internal engine parts last longer. Put it all together and the average annual repair cost for this SUV stays around $400 to $450. For something this size, that's seriously impressive. And then there's the worry most people still have about the hybrid battery. But here's the honest truth. Toyota's hybrid batteries have proven themselves rock solid across millions of vehicles. Many of them easily last well beyond 150 to 200,000 miles. And with warranties and falling replacement prices, they're nowhere near the risk they used to be. So instead of creating problems, the hybrid system actually reduces them. It's not just about saving fuel anymore. It's about real longevity. And that brings us to the final car. The one that didn't just follow the formula, it pretty much wrote the book on it. The Toyota Prius. Long before hybrids became normal, the Prius completely changed how people think about ownership costs. It wasn't built for speed. It wasn't built for luxury. It was built to last as long as possible while costing as little as possible to keep running. It uses a 1.8-liter engine paired with Toyota's hybrid system. Just like the RAV4, it spreads the workload between the engine and the electric motors. But the Prius takes the idea even further. Everything about it is optimized for efficiency and durability. That's why it became the favorite choice for taxis, rideshare drivers, and delivery vans across Europe. People who need their car to work hard every single day. And when a car survives that kind of punishment, you know it's built differently. It's not unusual to see Priuses hitting 250 to 300,000 miles without major drama. The average annual repair cost sits around $400 to $420. But more importantly, it stays steady and predictable. Regenerative braking stretches the life of the brake components. The engine runs under gentler loads. And the whole system dodges many of the usual failure points you find in traditional cars. Even the battery, which used to scare people, has turned out to be incredibly tough. And as more of them have been produced, replacement costs have become much more reasonable. Now just think about that for a moment. A car that was once seen as a bit risky has quietly become one of the safest long-term bets you can make. And that completely changes the conversation. Because at the end of the day, the cars that cost the least to maintain all follow the same quiet philosophy. They avoid unnecessary complexity. They use proven, well-tested systems. And they're designed to reduce where instead of creating more of it. So when you look at cars like the Corolla, the Mazda 3, the RAV4 Hybrid, and the Prius, the pattern becomes crystal clear. These aren't just reliable cars. They're genuinely smart designs. And if you're enjoying this kind of honest breakdown and you want to see more of it, don't forget to like the video and leave a comment. It really helps the channel and lets me know what topics you want next. Because in the end, the best car isn't the one that looks the flashiest on day one. It's the one that's still working perfectly years later, without quietly emptying your bank account. So now the real question is simple. Which one of these would you actually trust with your own money?